Let's get some perspective on Iraq's military moves from the former American ambassador to Iraq not too long ago. James Jeffrey served from 2010 to 2012, and he joins me now from Washington. Thank you, Ambassador, for being with us. What do you make of the claims by the Iraqi government that they're making real advances against ISIS militants and that they're controlling important roads now? They're releasing this video to convince the world that they're making all these advances. What do you make of all of this?
Not very much. First of all, thank you for having me here. But in looking at this, gun sight camera footage is interesting to see, but it doesn't really mean very much. Who knows what was in that building? The point is that the Iraqi forces are stalled in their effort to retake Tikrit, an important provincial capital to the northwest of Baghdad. What the Iraqi forces have done with the help of these Shia militias is, at least for the moment, to stop the ISIL move towards Baghdad, to besiege Baghdad and to move into the Shia shrine cities to the south. And that's important. That's somewhat stabilizing the situation. But I see absolutely no capability of this government with these forces to retake Sunni Arab territory from ISIL.
What about Nouri al-Maliki? I mean, the Americans supported him for a second term. Even now, the Secretary of State, John Kerry, is not speaking out against him. When you were ambassador in Iraq, Ambassador Jeffrey, you did not speak out against him and some of the criticism that was directed at his government, that he was acting in a sectarian way and not in an inclusive way. Did the Americans get it so wrong? Is this, in the end, their fault for supporting this man?
Well, first of all, Iraq was a democracy when I arrived there in 2010, and Nouri al-Maliki had the support of the critical mass of Shia parliamentarians, and the Kurds, who had the second largest contingent, were not really willing to buck that trend in the end. It took 10 months to put together a government. We, as American outsiders, were advisors. We looked at various options, but we were stuck with Maliki. And we did from time to time speak out against him, but again, our influence was limited.
So now what then? I mean, do you think Nouri al-Maliki is the man for the job, to unite his country, to get everyone together, and to prevent it from breaking apart?
He's not the man for the job. I don't think there's anybody, regardless of what they say publicly, in the U.S. government who thinks so now, and very few people, even among the Shia coalition. What should have happened yesterday was the Shia coalition should have offered a new prime minister, and everybody would have moved forward on that basis. But they're not ready to do that yet. Maliki isn't ready to go without a fight, so this thing is going to be delayed further, and that's dangerous.
So you think U.S. officials, including the Secretary of State, are publicly expressing support for Nouri al-Maliki, but privately saying something different?
Well, they're not publicly expressing support for Nouri al-Maliki. Quite the contrary. They're criticisms of the government, without naming Maliki, beginning with the president's speech 2 weeks ago, have been really quite sharp and have sent quite strong signals. I think behind the scenes, they're hoping that he will go, because there's no way that the Kurds and the Sunni Arabs, who make up half of the Iraqi population, are going to fight with this guy in charge.
Now, one of the things you said just a couple of weeks ago on attacking ISIS, we have to act, and we have to act swiftly, you said. Troops will stand and fight if they know that there are airstrikes on the other end. Do you think the U.S. should have intervened militarily and helped the government with airstrikes, that would have changed things?
I think that if the U.S. government had used a few airstrikes against targets, once we did get the intelligence up, which has taken about a week, but it's up there now, against clear ISIS targets that are threatening the Shia areas, not indiscriminate bombing of Sunni Arab cities, but those ISIS targets, those columns of ISIS guys with flags and heavy weapons you see all the time on CNN. I think that that would have shown everybody in Iraq that we're serious. The biggest question that people in Iraq, and frankly everywhere in the Middle East, have right now is, will America use lethal force under any conditions in any country for any purpose?
So you think this was a big missed opportunity then?
First of all, we still have the opportunity. There's no doubt that if there's an inclusive government, if the Sunni Arabs and the Kurds can unite behind a new prime minister, any effort to stabilize the Sunni Arab areas, we will be there with military force, including, I'm sure, airstrikes if necessary. But for the moment, in order to move the process forward, I think very limited airstrikes to show that under different circumstances there would be a lot more help from the United States would be important. These soldiers that are fighting and in some cases melting away, these are people that fought with us, that did well with us, and that we have obligations to.